All right, so we're
All
starting
right.
early this week.
Yeah,
Two,
this
2
is
minutes.
this is weird. Both of us are here not only on time but early, and we thought, well, what we're so used to like showing up last minute and then going
Right.
live, and then that we're 5 minutes late. But now we showed up early. Well, what do we do? I was like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you can't just sit around.
Can't.
I guess the good thing
And
about
if we
this week is
chat,
like
we lose stuff to talk about.
that's right. We're just
Yeah,
burning topics in the
burning
greener.
ideas.
The people might just love, listen, I was up at 6 a.m. for a
Did
webinar.
somebody already join us? It looks like there's somebody actually here.
Holy moly!
What?
Wow, this is. It could be someone in my family, possibly in the
Yeah.
same
Oh,
household as me.
we lost them.
Oh no,
They
it's
they realize it's a mistake.
definitely not here. They would stay on mine. They know better. So I was up at 6 a.m. for a webinar. Why are you on the ball today? What's going on?
You were up at 6 a.m. for a webinar? Why?
I'm okay. Maybe we can dig into this. This is going to be one of the topics I want to talk about. But like,
See, I woke up at I normally wake up pretty
yeah.
early, like 5:30.
Well, you
But
have children. Yeah,
this morning
you have
at
children.
2 a.m., Stella came into our room, and Tony went to take her back to her
Right.
room, and I didn't see her for a few more hours. So she got stuck in that room. And then at 3 a.m., the fire alarms went off.
Oh,
Because with fire alarms, they're all like
they're all connected.
wired together.
Yeah.
They're all connected. And so if one goes off, they all go off. And none of them say which one is actually the cause. So you've
Oh,
got to
that's
like
great.
figure out. and there seems to be I don't know, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 10 or 12
Right.
fire alarms in this house.
Okay.
And so figuring out which ones, I mean, there's one above each of the HVAC systems,
Right.
and then there's one in each of the main rooms. And yeah, so they're all over the place, and they all seem to have a solid green light, except one has a green light that's flashing every like 3 seconds or 4 seconds. It's like,
Uh,
I guess that means the battery is low. I really should go through all of these because we haven't changed the batteries on a lot of them ever. So
Now,
I have to
listen, I'm
change
no
the batteries.
expert on fire alarms, but I would assume a human installed them, right? Is there no
Yes,
is there no troubleshooting method? What were they installed prior to you coming to the
they
house?
were installed prior
Okay.
to us
Okay.
moving into the house. Um,
Yeah, it sounds like a pain though. I do
and
love clusters, but if you can't tell which of the cluster members is
it's,
causing the problem, then
yeah,
I'm just not
yeah,
happy.
and and the last time this happened, it was solved by changing the battery.
Right?
And if the problem is that the battery needs changing, don't set off all the alarms and say fire, fire, fire. It's like that's like boy who called wolf.
But
It's
don't
like
yeah, don't they normally chirp?
yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, they have this chirp that is really hard to locate because it's this
right.
weird like it is somewhere
It's been chirping for
in the room,
months.
but you can't figure out and it's such a weird minimal sounds like
Yeah, ours is
was
like
that a fire alarm where, and then it's like only
gone.
chirps once every like 3 minutes, and
Yeah.
so you have to sit and like hold on, let me sit still. Oh, there it is. So
Yes, that sounds like a
anyway, you were going to talk about a webinar.
I mean, not about the webinar, but maybe about the practice of
What was the
webinars. So,
webinar?
yeah, I'll tell you what the webinar is about. So it's
Tell me
about
about the webinar.
migrating databases to Azure, specifically SQL Server. You may have used these in the past for services like SharePoint and
Oh yeah.
SSIS and SSRS. Anyway, didn't go into that too much into detail, mostly about monitoring and why it's important to have a plan and that kind of stuff. But I
Except
think the main
you,
thing is, yeah, go ahead.
were you suggesting that I would have used it because of SharePoint because of my connection to SharePoint?
I think most people will use SQL without realizing it, I guess is what I was trying to get at. But
Hmm.
maybe I did mention SharePoint because I said that. But I do feel like a
Except
lot of
when I
Microsoft.
was
Yeah,
except when I was doing a kind of product manager kind of role at
yeah.
Microsoft focused on SharePoint, it was when SharePoint was not based on SQL Server but was based on Exchange Server.
Oh, I remember that. Okay. Yeah,
So
but
it was before the transition.
Exchange Server has a database. Just don't tell anybody.
Oh
Was it Jet 2? I think Jet 2.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Good old database. But I think the main
anyway.
thing is when I attend a webinar, I have expectations, and I've taken those expectations to try to like roll them into what I expect when I run a webinar. And as such, I think I over prepare for them. Maybe is what I'm getting at, and stress out about too much. So the webinar is at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. I got up at 6 a.m. Pacific. Now the slides were done, no problem. And the product marketing manager found out I was doing a session the next day, and I was like, could I see the slides? Could we update some screenshots and stuff like that? And honestly, I could have let them know months ago. I did not. I could also have ignored them, which I it's not that I did that last time. It's just I could have done better this time, and last time I did not update the screenshot. So I knew that they would want to update some stuff, so I got up early and we worked on it together, kind of thing. I'm trying to get better at working with others.
Yeah.
There's a
As well with others.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was important for this role early on, but when it turns out that a lot of people are like willing to do the work for you so their product looks better, like it's hard to be mean to them. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I do this out of spite or anything like that. It's more like it's easier just to do your own slide jockeying and rock and roll a webinar kind of thing. But when there's more people who look at them, the better. And honestly, though I did go through Descript and do some dry runs, I probably should have done a dry run too. So I feel like on this one, there was like process that sort of fell apart on my end. No one else's fault, where it could have been better. But lo and behold, 6 a.m., woke up, did some slide modifications, and it's honestly way better now that I redid the screenshots, redid the demos and the screen recordings and stuff.
Right.
She was right for sure.
Yeah.
But I should have done better than it.
Yeah.
Like a month ago. Just when you're working on other stuff, I think I knew about this prior to Dash, and I knew about this prior to Google Cloud Next. You know what I mean? Like I knew all about it. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll just reuse the slide deck at the end of the day. And lo and behold, the slide deck I was going to reuse had some old pictures and old videos and stuff. So went in and updated those. But I think the main thing is when I go to a webinar, it feels like the person running the webinar doesn't care as much as I do about the webinar they're running. And when I run one, I feel like I care way more than I should. So I've got to find some happy ground or middle path.
When you mean person running it, you mean the person actually delivering most of the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
The webinar.
Because there's always that person that runs it who's like the host, who's not really presenting.
Yeah, I don't need the warm intro.
Yeah.
I've been offered, actually, speaking of within the company, I've had people who have done that for me, but it just don't really need it. I'm so bad that I really don't even need an intro slide for myself, but I realize that people want to know who you are, where you're from, and why it matters that you're talking. But I really feel like the sooner I can get to like repo and code that people can play with and an actual demo of some sort of sample or like a story that gets them involved, I think is way more interesting than anything else. And this time I didn't really have a repo. I had some links to ebooks and stuff like that, but also I felt like I should add a repo for people to play around with in migration. That would have been more handy. I'm learning. I'm getting there.
Yeah, I have definitely found when doing a webinar, I really do like having that person who is usually in the marketing role or events role, who is there kind of managing the Zoom or the WebEx or whatever is the platform, as well as keeping an eye on the questions, because I don't want to think about questions. I don't want to think about chat. If there's somebody who's really interested in like asking a question right now, then that minder or host can let me know that there's 5 people who are asking this question about the and that's been useful just so I don't have to think about, because even like on a stream, if there's so many things going on, that means nobody gets all of your attention. And
that's kind of one of the things I learned this time, or maybe like a realization I had during this webinar, is that typically I'll handle the chat, the QA, all of that. I just do it, whatever, it's fine. But I was thinking the same thing as you. Okay, so like, what if you're the person who has not answered the question and someone else interrupted my diatribe about, who knows, RPO and RTO, recovery time, recovery point objectives. Someone came in out of nowhere just asking, hey, are the slides going to be available at the end of the webinar, which is super common. I will typically answer that question, not mid-sentence, but like mid-explanation. I was like, oh, I saw your question. Yeah, we'll get to those. No worries, getting back to it kind of thing. I feel like the person who is listening to me talk about that subject, though, is not getting the full attention that you're talking about. And because of that, one person asking in an audience of 500, then everybody gets interrupted, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm thinking about. So this time I did actually let a couple questions fester, and in fact, the person who
Yep.
was hosting it, who was there, did round up some of those questions for me, which
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah.
And rarely, honestly, have I required that, but having that safety net is super key. And now, like, I would normally not let questions just fester there, but I felt like today I really was in need of finishing the
Mhm.
topic. So I did that and went on. But yeah, it was good.
Cool.
Yeah. And listen, webinars I know don't sound like a lot of fun to people, but for those who are already in your product and want a little
Right.
bit more, webinars are kind of different, right? They're not organic talks or inorganic talks. They're not really sales. They're kind of like a little bit of enablement. It feels like, for me at least.
Mhm.
And yeah, I actually don't mind them. Maybe it's because I've been in
Yeah.
SE before. I don't know.
I feel like, a webinar, for getting information,
Mhm.
the best is going to be like a one-on-one conversation, and then
Absolutely.
maybe a talk, a conference talk that you attend live, and the person is speaking right there, so you can ask the
Ask
question
the
right there
questions
and
after.
then.
Yeah.
And then probably a webinar is, as long as the webinar is live and the person is actually there.
Right.
But then there are like way at the far bottom are those webinars that are
DevOps.com
pre-recorded,
pre-recorded.
or even worse, a conference session that is pre-recorded where they expect you to be there at a specific time,
Yeah.
but it's actually been recorded for like a week.
Yeah. It's
And it's like,
very
well,
strange.
just put it online. I mean, don't have a conference if this is what you're gonna do. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done plenty of, right around during COVID. I mean, I feel like I did a reInvent talk that was pre-recorded,
Right.
and in fact they, um for reInvent they sent out this, they wanted to make sure that everybody had the same setup,
Right.
and so even if you have, high-end lighting, high-end video, high-end microphone, you're not allowed to use any of it.
A higher
You
end than an
have to
iPhone 6?
you
Sorry,
had to
am I
use,
stealing your joke?
it wasn't even iPhone, it was a iPod Touch
Oh,
camera, um, and like the cheapest of cheap ring lights, like a small ring light,
ring
and
lights are
like
the worst. Can we just put that
the
out there? Like, the
cheapest
worst
of
freaking light.
cheap the cheapest of cheap wired lavalier, which is, even the cheaper lavaliers are pretty good,
Yeah, $5
but
rated is fine, yeah.
oh my god, that was, I mean, that's what they sent out, and everybody's required to use it. And it's like, oh, this, and then you have to record it. You do it live, record
Yeah.
it, and then they play it back at the time, and don't make it
So
no,
weird.
yeah,
As like maybe an audio engineer, it'd be good to have everybody at the same level, but like I don't does a
sure,
lavalier maybe it works, but like also there's all that rustling. Like
wrestling,
if you're not used to a lavalier, like it's
yeah,
not the easiest mic to hold and handle. And then there's
right,
like I have the problem of turning and
yeah,
speaking away from the mic by mistake,
yeah, oh yeah,
especially when I'm on stage. Interesting.
yeah.
And I wouldn't have guessed the iPod Touch. Like honestly, iPhone SE, I think is what I was thinking
Yeah,
for.
I have it around over here
Oh, they
somewhere,
gave
because
it
like,
to you?
what do I do with it? Yeah, they send it to you and then they don't want it back, and so now I've got these two things I don't really want.
So weird. Amazon
It,
does do things differently in
yeah,
some cases. This is one of them. I will say though, having gone through the ringer with Amazon and other cloud providers,
mhm,
they're very particular most of the time about their slides and their naming.
yes,
And it's both good and bad. It's good because I find their naming really confusing. It's
yeah,
bad because sometimes it feels like death by a million cuts. There's so many back
yeah,
and forth.
yeah.
On the other hand, I was about to go on stage at Google and I noticed that some of my slides had like AWS region names in them by mistake because I grabbed it from our ebook on tagging and everything's fine.
Yeah,
And then I was looking at the regions like, wait a second, these
mm,
these regions are right. So I had to go in and like put like the right background of the text and replace all the text because didn't have
yeah,
time to make the graphic again.
yeah.
But yeah, it seems like the rigor maybe on the
And
Amazon side of prep is quite high.
well, yes and no.
Okay.
The people who are ahead of time will say, these are the rules. You must
Hmm.
stick to these rules, and
Hmm.
they're usually, I don't know, other staff they bring in for managing this event.
Oh, the contractors or
Um,
what have you.
And so they are sticking to the rules,
Of course.
and you must stick to these rules. And it's like, well, I know, and when we get to the event, it's going to be different. And no, it's going to be these rules. These are the rules. You must stick to these rules. And then you get to the event. You actually get to the event,
Right.
and you have to have your slides reviewed. Final review in
Right.
person, and they're like the easiest
rules?
going. I mean, they're
Yeah, exactly.
the rules, but they're really friendly and nice and a little easier to work with, rather than just these sticklers to rules and they still get the same thing across. But I definitely have had times where the people ahead of time said, "Oh well, no, it's." In fact, somebody mentioned this on the DevRel Slack that we're all both on. That there's for services that one of the if it's a service that is used by AWS, then it's AWS service name or Amazon something. There was some rule, but as
I've heard this. There's also exceptions.
Yeah, and in that rule would say it's Amazon Lambda, but it's AWS Lambda.
Right.
And there have been some of these. There was one talk that I did where at reInvent, I ended up duct taping a Raspberry Pi with a camera to the front seat of one of the seats. And
sounds awesome. What kind of crimes were you committing?
Well, I had that, and then I was having it taking photos every 15 seconds of the slides.
Okay.
And then it was using the image, feeding it to some
audience. I was thinking car. Context. You had me in a totally different context in the front seat of the auditorium.
A front seat of the auditorium, yes. And
that's why I was talking about crimes. I was like, "What are you doing?"
And then it would take a picture. It would hand it off to some AI service that would identify which slide I was on,
right?
Based on the image, and then then pull in the notes for that slide from a different database. Bring that into Gatsby, which would auto-generate the website. And so I'd have this I was live blogging my session as I was delivering my session.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
But it required 20 different AWS products.
Of course.
And so, and they would go through and say, "Oh, well, this is wrong. It needs to be Amazon and not AWS." And there were a few of those that they corrected me on, which they were wrong, and I had it right to begin with.
Yeah. The one that came out recently was Amazon Aurora, because I was positive it was AWS Aurora.
Right.
Absolutely not. And I've been saying it wrong for years because I've used Aurora for a while.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for me as a practitioner who actually uses these services. It's difficult for me to understand which is which. I will say, though, last week we had a topic that we talked about that we actually got some feedback from the community, which is a first. It wasn't bad, but the authors of the report that we were so kindly going over did reach out and say they'd like to talk to us if we're getting corrections or things that they can make next year. Listen, I'm not going to double down and say everything is absolutely true and they need to just stop. But I do think that that there were some things that they could work on. I did know that people I know had been part of this survey. And I do, hopefully, I came across as someone who understands that, has empathy for someone doing this job, because it is hard. But also, with such a small sample size, it's difficult. Right. And I think that was my main conclusion.
Yeah, I think
hopefully that resonates. But I'll follow up. They reached out on LinkedIn, so I'll follow up there as well.
Yeah, I just saw them on Twitter. I don't think I saw a LinkedIn, but I am so bad about LinkedIn. Somebody will invite me to become a whatever link or friend or whatever they are on LinkedIn,
right?
And 6 months later, I see it. It's like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, whatever. I don't remember, but yeah.
So I got I guess a PM of the developer relations report reached out on LinkedIn saying if there's any loops I'd like to close or clarifications that would improve experience, let them know, and they'll try to pull it forward to next year, which is super nice, honestly.
Yeah.
And awesome. Again, I'm not going to double down and say, no, it's awful. Don't try to fix that. I will reach out to them and try to make it better, because I do feel it's important.
And anytime you try to come up with conclusions on when the data set is small,
it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And if nobody responds to the survey, well, you kind of stuck.
It
Do you
is tough.
just not release it, or do
And
you?
that's what I was thinking of. So what do you do? Not release it,
Yeah,
or do you say like sample size was small, but here's what the numbers
yeah,
told us without necessarily? I don't know. It's a tough place to be in.
yeah, yeah.
It's rough. But the other thing we did not talk about last week, I kind of hinted at it, and it was maybe obvious. Like I got a Mac Studio for funsies, and again,
Mhm.
reviewing our content, like I generally don't brag about stuff. This is pretty odd for me. But the reason I got that is because I knew that there were some phones coming out that I did not
Mm.
want to buy. However, I did on Friday wake up at 5 a.m. and look at the phones anyway, and then proceeded to go back to sleep. Because I do like having tools that work well. I think we talked a little bit about your keyboard as an example, is something
Mhm.
where your interface with the computer is very important. I do
Yeah.
feel like the computer I use the most often is my desktop,
Mhm.
but the second, and like just barely not making first place is my phone for sure. I'm on it
Yeah.
all day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, if you're interested in like I think they call it like the X5 lens, which is roughly 120 millimeters. Was interesting to me, but also it's a massive phone and I got small hands. It's not going to work out.
I mean, I do carry around the bigger phone
Okay,
anyway.
you're the Pro Max kind of person.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and I so it's what is the magnification of the telephoto now
it
or
is 70
before?
millimeters. Yeah, so it's
Okay,
3 times, which is a little bit insane because I think
okay,
24 is where they start, so it should be 85. No, wait, my math is
okay.
terrible. It should be 75, not
Well,
70, but they call it 70.
I mean, like in a full frame, a 50 millimeter would be one X.
Yeah, not with Apple. With Apple, the
Yeah.
ultra wide is 1x. And I think what they're trying to
Okay.
say is in a zoom range, like a 24 to 70 is a 2x zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but
Two
they're
times the widest.
yeah, they're saying
Okay.
the 3x. I don't know if maybe their focal length isn't 24. It's got to be
Yeah.
something lower than that.
Yeah.
But they're saying their 3x is 70, which is like
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Maybe they're
And
close to
then
the
this new one is 5X.
is 5x. And again, not an expert, but 24 times 5 is not 120, but it's 120 millimeter equivalent. And listen,
Okay.
I understand the manufacturers lie. Your 80 millimeter might be closer to 78 or 82 or
Right.
something like
Right.
that. But yeah, I think in this case they're paying a little bit
But
fast and loose with the zoom powers.
right.
Still okay.
But it's probably almost 2 times what the previous
Yes.
telephoto was.
Yeah, from 70 to
And I
120.
think, yeah, and I think that is there have been enough times where um we live pretty almost on the water
Don't
on
tell me you're
Puget.
looking at orcas.
No, we
Okay.
still haven't seen an
My
orca.
face is getting red. I'm getting jealous.
No, I really want to. Every now and I mean, it's
Of course.
you really have to sit there all day, every day, forever
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be able to see it. And but every now and then, like the Nimitz has gone right
Yep.
by our house a few times, and
That's
various
super cool.
just yesterday there were some other warships that had gone by. And I want to take a picture of it, and you take a picture, and it's like this big in the big picture, and
The other
so it
thing
would
I
be
thought you were
nice
gonna
to
say is
be
that
a little
you're
bit
like,
closer.
yeah, you're digital zooming, so it's like
Yeah, I mean, and
okay,
then it's like, okay, it's bigger, but it's all blotchy.
super blocky. Yeah.
So
My partner does it all the time, and honestly, it's still better than no picture, but
yeah,
it's just barely
not
there.
much. Yeah. So it would be nice to have a little bit more of a telephoto.
Right.
Um, I I don't. Yeah, I think for that it would be nice,
It's
but not enough to go buy one.
right. And their digital zoom's a little bit different too because they're doing binning. So I think the 2x, for example, isn't actually optical, and it
Mm,
has not been for a while. And I do use that once in a while, and it's pretty good. I think
hmm
it's because it's mathematically like is it a fourth, a quarter? Anyway, it's like whatever they're binning is like
Right.
essentially half. And you get half the megapixels from 43, I think, down to 21 or 20-ish.
hmm
And that's still a pretty usable RAW file,
Yeah.
surprisingly, which is again, I'm not sure if you've used RAW from the iPhone, but like the last iteration wasn't bad. And I
Right.
understand the new iteration is better. And I get that
Yeah.
you can do like HIEF encoding and stuff like that, but it's
hmm
still just not enough for me. Like I
And I see that like the apps all updated today, like Final Cut and Motion and
Oh, I didn't
Compressor
see that.
all updated today because of
Ah,
the new RAW format on the iPhone.
interesting. Yeah, because you can record to an external USB disk now for
Mm,
4K 60, which is
that's
a
pretty cool.
lot. Like ProRes, that's a lot
Yeah,
of data.
yeah, that's
It,
pretty
it
cool.
is it is pretty cool. And in fact, being able to swap focal lengths like that
Right.
is pretty awesome. In fact, doing that on a normal camera is quite difficult.
Yeah. Have you
But
played
still
around with
amazing.
like the external lenses, the like Moment has their lenses and
Yeah, so a teammate let me play with his for a bit. I thought it was pretty cool. I think
yeah.
the app is actually really neat more than anything else. That Moment app is
Oh,
pretty
okay.
interesting. I can't remember what it did differently, but the fact that you could just get in and take a photo with manual controls, I think
Right.
was the app, is like a massive deal. So for me, that button on the phone being able to launch
Hmm.
the camera really
Yeah.
quickly and not not Apple's camera app. Uh,
Yeah.
don't get me started on that thing. But being able to pick an app where it actually knows my settings and keeps them
Right.
between button presses is
Yeah,
massive.
I have on the uh well, I don't have it on, I guess I'm in a different
Profile or whatever it's called.
profile,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. But normally I have a different one where those buttons
Right.
you can put up there. I have
Yeah.
Halide as an option there.
I've got the same. I'll
Yeah.
blame is it Stallman who recommended that possibly?
It might have
That
been,
that
yeah.
app and that
Yeah.
guy combo? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I feel like I watched the same thing, and I did use that for a while. The other one I was using was Filmic Pro, I think, to
Hmm.
take some videos on, also
Yeah.
pretty handy, and
But
they
then they
don't do log,
changed
but
their licensing.
oh, really? I didn't know that. What did they
So
change?
there was like you download, pay one thing, and
Yeah.
now it's a subscription.
Oh, I feel like I
Um,
paid for Lifetime just before they did that.
yeah,
That's awful. Okay.
yeah,
I do like apps where I can buy it and they update them
yeah,
forever. I
yeah.
also understand that as a dev,
Oh,
this
I
is
totally
awful.
understand. Yeah. Um,
My biggest
but
complaint about IA Writer is that I bought it when it was like IA Writer 2, and then
right.
they kept upgrading it, but from 3 to 4, they just got rid
Yeah,
of everyone's license and said you had to go subscription.
yeah,
And I had it for years. It worked flawlessly, and now I don't want to pay
yeah.
another
There was
subscription.
another one like it was like Filmora
Okay,
had like a lifetime license. And they called it lifetime something.
right?
And then they came up with a new version and said, yeah, all that lifetime that it doesn't apply to this version. It's like lifetime of that particular version, not and if you bought it for like version 3 versions ago, then your lifetime license included all upgrades up until that point. And then they said, oh no, this is different.
Gotcha. I believe this came up once before, so I just Googled it just to
Yeah.
make sure. It seems like they did an about face
Oh, okay.
9 months ago. So December, this looks like December 23rd, which feels
Oh,
like a
okay.
weird time to do it, but December 31st seems to when they did it. New Year's Eve. We apologize for the confusion and frustration caused by a lack of clear license information for Filmora 9 purchasing page. To that
Hmm.
end, oh, okay. If you have not yet upgraded to the Filmora 12, you can for free, or if you've already paid for an upgrade, you can request a full refund or receive free access to their effects for a year. A free upgrade in the future. So everybody who had a lifetime license will get free upgrades. So
Hmm.
and they don't call it lifetime in here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you notice how they're being careful about it, which is
Very careful.
it's fair
Yeah.
though. Like
Sure.
yeah. So they made a
Mm.
calculated decision and it
Yeah.
went wrong.
Yeah.
Speaking of, there's another company doing something similar in our scene. I'm not sure if you've heard of this Unreal Engine. Is it?
Oh,
Actually,
drama.
I may have misspoken. Was it Unreal or was it the other one? I
No,
apologize.
Unity.
Unity. Okay, almost. Can I get another angry email? So Unity Engine, my understanding is they gave like a really good license to indie devs,
Right.
and then this year said that each install, not
Yeah.
like each game, had to pay money back.
Like
Like they had
20
to pay,
cents per
yeah, but they had to pay for
user.
each user, and some of these games are, of course, smash hits because they got like an awesome engine they could get
Yeah.
started with,
And
and
they're giving it away for free. And
essentially,
despite
yeah,
this,
yeah.
so okay.
I don't think,
I I
yeah.
I I I feel like Unity's in the right here. and they're
Well,
still giving this amazing deal. It's okay, so these companies can't give away their games for free.
no, well, careful now. Okay, I thought you were gonna say like this is like an open source argument because like absolutely is not the same. Okay, you weren't
No.
great, great. They're not free games, but yeah, in some cases they're free to play games, which is where like
Right.
there's monetization and stuff like that. And they may claw it back.
Yeah.
That I think is probably what Unity was trying to address. But
Right.
then there's other we'll call them affordable games. It might be like a $5 to $10 game. I
Right.
think Cult of the Lamb came up as one that I've never
Right.
played, but I've heard is quite good. Might be a $20 game. It looks like though yesterday they also backpedaled on these dev fees, but I
Hmm.
don't know what they actually did.
I mean, if
So
somebody's selling it for $20, they can't afford 20 cents to the
per user.
right.
Yeah, not 20 cents total. So they could have millions of users.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so $200,000,
Right.
not 20 million, but yeah,
Right.
$200,000
But if
might
they're
be
getting 20
a lot.
bucks from the user, they can pass 20 cents back on to the
Yeah, and this is you're hitting on the crux of the issue for me. Like, so your finances aren't good. And listen, I get it. You were under the assumption that you wouldn't have to pay this, and this company doing this to you is terrible, and you
right.
cut your pricing as low as possible in order to
Right.
get more users. Like that calculus is
Cost of
difficult.
doing business.
Yeah, some of these stories did feel like that. On the other hand, like also there's that whole free to play thing. I also understand why Unity would want to crack down on sort of the shilling games that just
Yeah.
clog up stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Totally get that too. And then there's the games like I feel like Cult of the Lamb is a pretty good example of one where it was cheap, but maybe they made it too cheap.
Mhm.
Understand that too, and they are using a different engine for their upcoming game. Get that
Mhm.
too. In other cases, yeah, it
But
feels like lots
changing
of
the
leaders.
engine seems like an expensive exercise
Oh no,
when
it's really hard. It'd be like, yeah, all we're doing, Matt, is changing from Python to TypeScript. Come on.
yeah. That sounds like it's a whole lot more expensive than paying Unity or Unity 20 cents a user.
Yeah, right. And depending on the dev team, that might be the case that it's actually more expensive to change the frameworks. In other
Mhm.
cases, it sounds like it's one or two devs.
Yeah.
In which case, like maybe they could hack it, maybe they couldn't. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, though, they did backpedal. So I think what they're saying is they're making changes to the wallet. Okay, so they're going to update us in a little bit. We'll
Mhm.
see. But I have a feeling that it's going to be the distribution method is what they actually like make the call on, because I feel like this sort of shovelware, is that the right term, where you just like throw stuff in the store hoping someone will grab it so you
Yeah.
can make your $3 and then pay off the rest of your dev fees like that is not a great business model, I guess, is
Yeah.
what I was trying to get at. And
The
I
ones that
don't want to
are
I don't want to victim
free
blame
and
here.
then the ones that are free and then you get to play for a little while, but then you have to recharge or whatever, and you can either recharge by waiting a day or paying up.
I think the problem is I hate this business model,
Yeah.
maybe is the issue, and then like because of that, I don't have a lot of sympathy for them.
Yeah.
But I guess putting on the empathy hat again here for 2 times in one day, it would suck if that like you made this whole plan on that assumption. It just feels to me like free lunch generally I'm pretty hesitant about. This has been
Yeah.
free for a while, so I can understand why they did it. But yeah, it does seem like things may change for the better, hopefully, in terms of the video game licensing stuff. I don't know. But was there, sorry, we got off track a little bit from the Apple stuff, but were there any other Apple announcements that you were excited about?
I don't remember being that excited about
But
anything.
now
Was
listen,
there?
my segue here is that they said pro gaming meant user, like, I don't know, client games, that kind of stuff. Did you notice that part? We talked about professional 3D graphics, and I was like, and here are some games, which I thought was a little bit interesting. Like, do we not have any 3D graphics apps for Mac that they could show off? Tekla used to be a big one. No, not anymore.
I don't know anything.
Don't know Tekla. I think it still runs on Mac. Yeah, it does. It's owned by Trimble. I don't know if you've dealt with Trimble before. Okay.
No.
Anyway, there is software that runs on Mac. That's pretty powerful. I just thought it was weird that they would talk about games. They really want the arcade to be a thing on both like your Mac and your iPad and you can now use like a PS5 controller, I think, with your iPad.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm still not in. Anything else that came out that like caught your eye to watch? Maybe
No, I mean,
Ultra 2? No,
No, uh,
you
I,
know, it's kind of weird.
I
Hey,
I feel like it was something that I missed live, and so I scanned through afterwards, and it's like, yeah, okay, there's nothing really that really needs an upgrade.
what about the AirPods, USB-C? Does any of that interest you?
No, I mean the fact that it's USB-C, the phone is USB. I mean the AirPods weren't the AirPods Pro. It was just the AirPods, and I will. I mean, I don't see a reason to get just those versus the AirPods Pro.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm just looking through because I thought I saw
Um,
AirPods
but
Pros, but
I mean,
you're right.
having a USB-C, the phone on the phone is nice. I mean, I don't need to rush out for that. Um, I know that I'm sure that some folks in Europe say, "Oh, yeah, this is proof that the EU won," or something. It's like, well, I don't know. I think they were going that they showed that they were going that way anyway. And this law that said you must use the USB-C port in EU. I mean, I can't see any good coming out of that law. Um, because
Well,
now they're stuck on USB-C and won't be able to
but
upgrade.
why isn't it Thunderbolt?
Huh?
Why isn't it Thunderbolt?
Yeah.
Help, like that's what I'm worried about. Is like, hey,
Yeah.
they said
I would they're
USB-C, so that's what we did because that's what they
yeah.
said. We can't go Thunderbolt because it'd be awful. But it felt to me like if you're going to be recording 4K 60 ProRes to an
Hmm.
external disk, perhaps Thunderbolt would be handy.
Yeah.
I don't know, just a shot in the dark. It seemed very odd to me. And the non-pro versions of the phone are USB-C in connectivity, but they're
Hmm.
USB 2 in terms of data rate, which is also not great.
Yeah.
So the non-pro 15, for example, will connect at USB 2 speeds, which is just as bad as the old
Yeah.
Lightning connectors,
Yeah.
480 megabits per second.
Yeah.
Ah,
So that was
and for the AirPods, I thought they were pros, but yeah,
mm,
they're definitely just
yeah.
AirPods.
Yeah.
Yeah. That-
I mean, I love my AirPods Pro. I don't have them on me, but they're great. It's although it's yesterday I went out to give the dog a walk, and
Mhm.
I you always have my AirPods Pro on me, but they were completely dead, completely
Okay.
discharged.
Yeah.
There was no power in the box,
No
no
juice.
power in the iPods, and I put them in my ear, and they just felt the connection felt weird. It
Yeah.
felt like I mean because as soon as you put them in your ear, they're doing
Normally.
something
Yeah.
normally, even if they're not making a sound,
Yeah.
and they sound more solid. They more like
Yeah.
it's
They feel
more
like they take up
there.
more space in your ear somehow. It's
Yeah,
very
and
odd.
then and then when it's completely dead, it's like, "Oh, it's not making a good seal. What
Yeah.
is that?" And
Yeah.
it's amazing how different that is, and when it's completely dead.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
feels like some sort of pressure on your ear almost. Because I
Yeah,
did the same thing actually the other day. I was going to walk the dog, took
yeah,
the AirPods out, case and things were dead, and I put them in my ear like, these will be yeah, like I live on a street, it'll be
yeah,
good noise canceling,
yeah,
whatever. But the noise, what do you call it? Dampening? It's
yeah,
not even close. It
yeah,
doesn't hold a candle to ANC at all.
yeah,
And I guess I forget how heavy lifting they are because it's been a
yeah,
while since I've had them, and I guess I got used to it. But
yeah,
yeah, they're like useless without
yeah,
the software. I mean, it
yeah,
also felt like perhaps, and you might have the same problem that the seal wasn't great either.
yeah,
And
yeah,
maybe it's that I've heard of you can get compilatives for them or whatever, but I feel like I need to work on the seal as well. I hadn't even noticed, and maybe that's what's causing some of the weird issues I've got when I turn left and right.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I've tried. There's a company that I've gotten other stuff from before called I think
Mhm.
ChargeN.
Okay.
Um, I feel like San Diego or something like that, and they because I got a like a USB or yeah a MacBook hub that you can plug in,
Right.
and they also have alternate ear tips for the AirPods, and they're just not. I felt I had the same thing same experience with the comply on these headphones or
Right.
on these earpods headphones
It's hard. There's so many
and
terms for things.
I didn't like them. I didn't like that feel,
The mushy kind
the
of
mushy,
spongy.
yeah,
I'm also not a
um
fan, and what I'm wearing right now has them on the tips, and they're like
okay,
kind of they're I don't know they like stick out of my ears sometimes.
yeah,
They just don't feel right. Also,
Yeah.
the ones that go over your ear bother me anyway.
Mm.
It's just I don't need anything back there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what these are right here. That I have the.
Yeah, the inner monitors. I think for the
Yeah.
job they're the right thing. It's
They're
just that
great.
they're just not great for everything. They're really
Right.
good for this, and it feels like
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah. And the reason why I got into using this, and so I mean, it is a 2-ear
Right.
thing. I just took the earbud off that one, so it just dangles, so it's not pulling me down.
Yeah.
And the reason I got into this, I was using the AirPods, but it would there'd occasionally be a glitch where
Right.
my audio would just go out and I
Yeah.
couldn't hear, and so this would be a pain because I've got this cable that's attaching me to the computer, but there's no alternate. You kind of need that.
Yeah, I'm looking around my desk to see if I can find it. I've got a tiny little Bluetooth dongle that I played with for a bit that I can put on the end, but the same thing. I don't know
Yeah.
if it feels like when Apple decided to have handoff on all of your devices as soon as I touch my phone is when things generally
Yeah.
go bad.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be doing anyway. Or if like another computer wakes up, it's like,
Yep.
it's audio time.
Yeah.
Grab
Yeah.
that Bluetooth that we connected to last time, and then it just sort of usurps your connection, pulls it
Right.
into the other room, and then you're left on a webinar not
Yeah.
knowing if your voice is coming through or it's awful. Not
I think one investment I need to make is buy, the $2, $3 extension cable for.
right.
Right. I mean, I already have one that's connected
Right.
to the. Where is this mic going to? I think the headphones are coming off of the. Is it coming off the ATEM? I think it might be coming off the ATEM. And then, or maybe it's straight off the MacBook or the Mac Mini. And so there is an extension cord right there, but I just need a little bit longer because I can't even reach the desk back here.
We've seen you try.
Yeah, like let me pull the desk down with me.
Now listen, in terms of the zeitgeist out there for TV watching, is there something I'm missing? Because I've tried all these TV shows, and I guess what my complaint is this week I started watching Invasion again. And
Oh yeah.
2 times I fell asleep during the show, which for me, at least in the first season, there's perhaps more mystery. But yeah, I found it so boring. Maybe I was just tired.
I was gripped.
Possible.
I watched the first episode.
Okay.
And
of season 2, right?
Of season 2, yeah.
Okay.
I watched the whole season 1. I thought it was fantastic.
Same. Yeah.
Yep. And I was really into the first episode. I haven't gone further.
Yeah, and I did like that opening scene of the second season with is it Shioli Kutsuna, I think is her name, the actress who's kind of has become a badass now, and she's helping people and stuff like that. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Don't remember anything else. Fell asleep right after that. And then I think I went to turn it back on to resume, and like the episode had ended, so I started to watch episode 2, and I was like, whatever, stick with this for a bit. Same thing. 5 minutes in, out like a light. Really want to like it. I'm just I can't get into the second season. Maybe I just need to have a nap and sit down and watch it. You're loving it?
I'm loving it. The other one that I just finished last night, which
and the segue here is Apple, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Get better at my segues.
Yeah, I mean Apple TV versus all the other streaming channels. I feel like Apple has all the every show is pretty much a winner.
Did it feel like that in the early days of Netflix? I can't remember.
Yeah, because there was no other choice. They were the only ones.
What about when Amazon came out with Prime TV? Because I know they had a couple that were good. Like they had that Jack Reacher one.
Oh yeah,
I didn't watch. Was it good? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Reacher
was great.
Jim from The Office.
That most recent what? Oh,
I can't. It's the same person. It's like when you've got a character actor or something like that. He's in something else.
Is that guy from Reacher? Is
yeah.
Oh no! That's Jack Ryan.
It is Jack Ryan. Okay.
Not Reacher.
I obviously
Reacher is a totally different.
Okay, is Reacher actually good? My apologies.
Yeah.
Too many Jacks. But yeah, for the Jack Ryan one, I just couldn't separate. And I'm normally not this bad, but I really couldn't separate him from that character.
Yeah.
To me, it just felt like he was in one of Michael Scarn's action movies or something. I couldn't. My headcanon was too strong on this one. So Jack Reacher was also on Netflix.
Right. No, on Prime. Isn't it?
No, it was on Netflix.
Reacher.
Yeah, but it's Tom Cruise. Yeah,
Oh, right. The Tom Cruise one was,
yeah, and Jack Ryan felt like budget Reacher. Is that
but
right? Yeah, John
Reacher.
Krasinski.
I thought Reacher was on Prime, like the series Reacher.
Ryan was on Prime and Reacher was on Netflix. See how confusing this is? Try to keep up.
No, I
Yeah,
don't think so.
according to Google. I had to Google it. I didn't know. But Jack Reacher was from 2012 and Ryan was from 2018.
No. Reacher, the series, is on Amazon Prime.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a totally different guy, not Tom Cruise.
Oh, I'm thinking of the movie.
Yes.
Shoot, you got me on a technicality.
And it's fantastic.
They have two Jack series on the same.
It's really good.
Oh, it's just called Reacher. Okay.
It's just called Reacher.
Okay. Yeah, you can't have two series. JR, Jack R2, Jack R3.
And season 2 coming in December. That'll be great.
Right.
The one other, so I guess we stopped Netflix because we didn't really get enough value out of that. So stop that.
Yep.
And then so we have Prime because we have, shipping. And so we got that, and we got the Apple TV that we're continuing to pay for. I guess that's and then Disney Plus. And Disney Plus,
yeah. And is that Paramount Plus yet? Has that happened, or is that
no?
Oh, okay. Because Paramount,
Paramount Plus has a streaming channel,
but they're not together yet.
No.
Okay. Because
Paramount Plus would be with who?
Oh, is it HBO or something?
Oh yeah. And we had that, and we got rid of that. But the other one that we do, another one that we will get for a short period, just to watch, one show, and then when it's done, or when we've gone through the episodes, we'll cancel it, and that's Starz.
Starz.
Yeah, for Outlander.
I haven't heard of that since like cable days.
Outlander.
I've still not watched.
So Outlander, all the seasons up until the current one are always available on Prime, but the current one is only on Starz. Gotcha. And Outlander is pretty amazing.
I've heard it's fantastic. I probably should sign up for one of these to watch.
It is. It's. There are some things that are approaching. There's some very rough scenes.
I've heard. Yeah, I've heard.
That are not for Stella. Will not be watching Outlander ever.
Now on Paramount, they had I think it was a prequel to Yellowstone that I really liked. Called 1883.
Yeah.
I can't remember how I watched this. I'll listen. I'm not gonna admit
Paramount
to
had
the pirate
like a free. It had a free trial for a long time.
Is that what it was?
Because I got kind of into that.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not even into country.
I don't know about the Yellowstone series. It's just stupid. I don't know. I tried watching a little bit of that.
Yellowstone was okay. I think I really like Sam Elliott. You know, the guy with the big beard.
Yeah.
And Tim McGraw was surprisingly
the guy who did the beef. It's what's for dinner. Commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. And Faith Hill was a surprisingly good actor.
Oh yeah.
As was Tim McGraw. Like what is this?
Yeah.
It's like actually pretty believable. And then their daughter, I think, kind of stole the show. Isabel May. I'm looking at IMDb right now. I really thought this is a pretty good show. And I guess what I'm getting at is it feels to me like when streaming services come out, like their early shows that they release when they come out tend to be good. And then it feels like the quality goes off a cliff. Netflix is sort of like Netflix is a slow decline. It's been a lot of years. So it feels like when things come out on Netflix these days, the quality is pretty low. I will say like the Japanese content that we've watched has been amazing. But I think that's just the same thing. They've just launched in Japan, just becoming popular. So they're riding that wave. I don't know.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like this is a long game. This is very much like get a trial or get on that Paramount Plus free when it's there, and then do not stay, do not renew.
It seems to be. Do you have Apple TV? Oh, so you do because you watch Invasion.
Yeah, I do, and I'm a sucker. They got me. I'm watching Foundation. I don't even like the show anymore. I'm there for like the costume design, but it looks really nice.
Yeah, I'd say that's the one. For me, the one dud is Foundation.
It's like I love the books, and the series is quite a bit different than the books for I think a good reason. but yeah, some of this love triangle, this stuff,
Hmm.
interpersonal relationship things. Asimov could not write any of this, so it was not in his books. But
Right.
it's pretty bad actually. It just feels very generic now, where it had the opportunity to not be. And the
Hmm.
first season was definitely not just a generic show. The
Yeah.
second season is super generic, and it's just
Yeah.
it just feels like the camel designed by committee kind of thing. It just
Right.
feels watered down, or I don't know if
Right.
it's like they're using AI or something, but the
Yeah.
stories just feel rehashed and boring, and you don't know, like, slap a multiverse in there, it's gonna be awesome, like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It just feels lazy to me,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But the costume
But
design's still good. I love the setting, love the universe, world building, that kind of stuff. But the story
but
is
like on their, I mean, I'm looking at Apple TV's drama series. Like
right.
Hijack was great.
So good. Like I'm midway
Blackbird.
through, but I do like it. I still haven't watched Blackbird. Good.
Oh my God.
Okay.
It's disturbing, but amazing.
Okay.
C, I just finally finished C last night,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Weird.
How do you spell C? SEA?
SEE.
SEE? Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
Morning Show was great.
I have seen 3 episodes. Loved it.
The last thing he told me was really interesting. It was really good.
You get a ton of good stuff. Okay.
Silo was great.
I did. Yeah, Silo was amazing. Okay, that's
For All Mankind was great.
also good. Yeah.
Slow Horses was great.
But we're at like 6 here. That's quite
Echo
a bit.
3 was great.
Was it? Okay. And then there is that the new one, The Changeling. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that.
Okay. And then there is also Swagger. Oh, Severance was on here.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Severance either.
Oh, Severance for me was great. Like,
oh yeah. 5 Days of Memorial was amazing.
Man, look at that. Like, so this is a lot. We're almost at 10 at this point.
Yeah.
And then do you watch
We Crashed? We Crashed?
Yeah, was that good?
That was great. Oh my God, that was really good. And Shantaram was really good.
You like We Crashed?
Pachinko was great.
But Pachinko was filmed here. I should watch.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it. Let's put a pin in We Crashed for a second here. Let's circle back to this. So what do we circle the wagons around We Crashed?
Yeah.
Did this not like? You didn't get like sweaty palms or PTSD or anything. Like, admittedly, they portray the person as a bit of an egotistical, maniacal, whatever, standard startup leader as far as I can tell. But did this not like? Because when I watched BlackBerry, for example, I had a lot of like, I don't know, like weird pangs or PTSD or like odd stuff coming back about like, when you're emotionally involved in a company.
Sure.
None of that for We Crashed?
No, I mean that was like kind of an extreme. I mean, I couldn't imagine.
Oh, it's just so far out there. You would have left the company like long ago, kind of thing.
I couldn't imagine Alexi or Olivier acting anything like that.
Not these two startup founders. Sorry.
Yeah.
we Datadog, I feel, is a little bit different in terms of the founders are a little bit different than other founders. Not the typical Silicon Valley startup.
I mean, it's another the one that was a bit crazy that there was a book written about HubSpot.
Right.
Did we talk about that?
We did not.
The book?
I have not read the book.
So there's a book that came out. So HubSpot is this Boston-based marketing firm. They have a CMS, and they brought in this author to write a book about to write a book about HubSpot. And as the book was getting ready to get published, they started getting worried, and the VP, the head of marketing, the chief marketing officer, basically hired people to dumpster dive into the author's trash cans.
What?
And there were all sorts of threats, and FBI got involved, and CMO ended up getting fired, and a few of the other officers. It seemed like from everything that was generally known, they were all in on it, but the CMO was the scapegoat.
Is this Disrupted? There were a couple books. There was Disrupted and one more I was looking at here. Doesn't ring a bell.
I don't know. What's the author's name of?
Let's pull it up again here. So the author's name for this one was Daniel Lyons, and
That's it. Yeah,
it is okay. So it's Disrupted: My Misadventure in the Startup Bubble, which I thought was a cool title.
You read that book, and it's like, oh yeah, that's totally like every startup I've been at. And they were embarrassed about it, but there's no reason to be embarrassed because it's startup life. I mean, you look at Silicon Valley; it's not like that's Silicon
show as
Valley, the
well, it's
series,
like
is
hurts a little bit.
totally
Yeah.
real. That was a house I lived in. I mean, it feels the house I had lived in Sunnyvale was exactly like Silicon Valley, the series.
What's the other one? Microserves? Have you
Oh
heard of that
yeah,
one?
yeah,
Because it's similar house, similar
yeah,
setting.
yeah.
Yeah, I like them both, and I have not experienced that type. But again, it feels
Mm,
like that would be a little bit too close to home. Even a friend who works at HP or Dell at the time, now works at HP, said that it felt too close to home when they were trying to take the compression algorithm and let's just put
right.
it into a box, and the box can go here, the box can go here, like that kind of thing. When you're a software
Yeah,
vendor and it turns out the market wants a piece of hardware, whether or not it's the
right.
right decision is like
Yeah. So,
the
yeah.
dramatization of DevOps is just maybe what I'm waiting for. We've done Kubernetes, the documentary.
Yeah,
Sorry, I interrupted you.
yeah. Well, no, I was thinking back to the Apple TV discussion, and there's this whole section that you probably aren't going to watch, and that's all the kids series.
Yeah.
But there are two
Uh-oh.
series that are amazing. Well, one series and one like it's a movie. It's like one thing. So a series is Stillwater.
Stillwater.
Stillwater is incredible. It's
Oh.
gorgeous to watch, and it's it's these kids that live next door to a panda, and the panda teaches them Zen and meditation, and it's just beautiful to watch.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
based on this book
so.
called Zen Shorts. It's
Well,
like
yes, that's the
very
book that
cool.
called Zen Shorts.
I didn't know this. I'm Googling as
Okay.
we're talking. Like,
Yeah,
that sounds
but
really awesome.
Stillwater is a
Very cool.
gorgeous series to watch, and it is amazing. And it's with if you have a child, you're gonna watch whatever show they're into. You're gonna watch every single episode over and over and over and over again. Stillwater, you can watch over and over and over again, and you see new things, and it's
that's
just
awesome.
so well done. And then one other thing,
Yeah.
which is a it's a one what is 30, it's 34 minutes. It's just in fact I'm amazed that it's that short. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Oh, it is such a lovely story.
These Idris Elba as the fox.
Yeah,
Look at this. Tom Hollander as the mole. Holy moly.
it is wonderful. Wonderful, peaceful,
I
sad,
feel like you've recommended
happy.
this book before, but yeah.
I feel
Interesting. I just
It's
this
really good.
enumeration of things kind of makes me think of it, but it might
Yeah.
have been something else. I'll definitely watch this as well. This is cool.
Yeah. Those are the two like kids things that are really great. I think everything we've brought up that we've started on here is good, but though we tend to watch Disney Plus for most of those types of things.
That makes sense. Yeah, I really liked having done a trial with Disney Plus. I really liked going back and revisiting all the old movies.
Mhm.
Also, there's a lot of in jokes there
Yeah.
that I didn't get when I was younger, so it was interesting.
And I mean, right now we're on Disney Plus. We're going through Ahsoka, which is the new Star Wars series.
Right. Any
Yeah,
good?
which is
I
it's
really like
great.
that actress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and then back on Disney. I mean, it's on Apple TV. The that movie Greyhound. Did you end up watching Greyhound?
No, I did not.
Tom Hanks.
No, still have not.
Oh, fantastic.
Right. I've heard it's really
A
good.
guy captains a destroyer, I guess, across the Atlantic in World War II, and it's great.
Very cool.
And Tetris, the movie Tetris was amazing.
I started that and kind of got a little bit bored, but I was literally 10 minutes in, so I didn't give it a fair chance. And then the Beanie Bubble was also on my list.
I haven't watched that yet.
Okay.
Oh, Greatest Beer Run Ever was great.
Listen to this. There's so many recommendations.
I mean, have you seen that one? That's
not.
really pretty funny.
Oh, interesting.
On The Banker.
I did see The Banker as I was going through these.
That was good.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a big list now. All right,
Yeah.
we should probably call it. We're gonna.
I mean, there's so much.
Apple TV recommendation show.
Yeah.
I do have. We got at least 5 links in here of shows that you recommended.
Okay. Yeah, and it's interesting that I mean, some of the shows there's some shows that I really liked and Tony hated, like
That happens.
the last thing he said to me or whatever, and then there's something that she loved, like Foundation, and I hated, like this is a waste.
She likes foundation. See
Yeah.
that's an interesting data point to me.
Yeah. Oh, and then another interesting one.
Yeah.
Interesting series. They're all short, and I thought were so visually amazing. But there are no visuals.
Interesting. Okay.
What's it called? I think it's called Calls.
Okay. There are no visuals
Or
for TV show.
yeah, Calls. CALLS.
Oh, weird.
All you see is this waveform on the screen.
Yeah. What are you setting us, man?
It is. I mean,
There's definitely visuals, but like, yeah, this is not what you
are the way that they talk about it, and you hear the audio, and I couldn't help but creating my own visuals in my own head about what's going on, and it was.
Now listen,
really
there is
cool.
someone in my household who likes Pedro Pascal quite a bit, so perhaps this will be a hit here. Who is
sure
the third listed? Lily Collins is also in this, so I don't know so well.
Well, you don't see any faces.
Right, but their voices.
It's just the voices, yeah. Yeah.
You recognize them, right? The voices?
I don't know.
Not so much? Okay.
No. That's pretty great. Oh, it's really weird, but really great.
One of these has a different
different set of people.
Oh, okay. So one of them has Rosario Dawson, for example, the fourth episode. Your Ahsoka person. Very cool.
And
this feels like peak pandemic performance. So like when they're doing microphone recordings at home in order to make a new series, they're like, listen, we had this whole idea to film stuff, but what if?
Yeah,
I'm seeing the previews of the visuals, and it's actually really, really neat. That thing of like how to display a text message or a phone call on the screen is like one of those conversations, right?
Right.
This is really, really neat.
Yeah.
I like this. Yeah, these titles are really cool too. Like even just the intros. Yeah.
Right.
Very, very neat.
Yeah.
I've been nerd sniped. Well done.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's great. I loved it.
Aubrey Plaza's in here. Wow. Amazing. All right. Should we call it? Should we find the button? We should.
We should.
We've been on our best behavior today.